There you go, part number 2. You can see right here in the front building right now with all the general info. And you can see the main structure right here. And I never heard of any other remaining structures around it, so it'll be interesting. You can pause it and read it later on. I'm going to try to keep this under 10 minutes.
So today is
I'll read some of it. I'll read the second half. A concentric zone of small compounds without platform mounds surrounded the central precinct. The ball court is at the geographic center of the classic period community. This arrangement suggests the segregation of public from private space. Interesting. Here's an old aerial photo when they're trying to preserve it in 1931. So obviously they had airships and airplanes back then with HD cameras. I'll go over a little bit of everything and you can pause it where you want. Palo Verde, tons of those out here. Creosote bush, cholla, mesquite. Sorry about flipping it the wrong way. I'll read some stuff from here there. Auction farming was practiced on the alluvial fans using rainfall runoff. This term is derived from an Oldham word auction, which refers to the mouth of a wash. A hoekam placed the mesquite and brush weirs in the washes to divert water to small canals that led to the fields. Interesting. So we know where we got all of our canal technology. Lasting clay pot that they didn't smash during the settlement. Gila River. That's where Goyathle or Geronimo was born, as the Gila River. Over there by Sedona. There's many of the natural tools that they use. They'll work with the earth, not against it. That's why they had all these canals. Everything was navigable by water. Until white man came around. So there was corn right there. Europeans didn't even have this until they came to South America. Same as pants. None of the white people figured out pants until they came to South America. Indians knew how to sew up pants out of a rawhide. Romans were still wearing skirts until they came to America and figured out pants. There's a saguaro fruit. And here's a bunch of different pottery that's been claimed over time. After they'd form these, then they'd bake them. And it turned into ceramics, early ceramics, which we still use today. Mashing block. I wish I can do some fancy editing for you guys, but I'm just going to do this in one shot for just a little bit of information. And here's some obsidian, which is just superheated granite. None of this came from volcanoes. Volcanoes are man-made. There's not lava below us, there's just water. You gotta remember, a lot of these historians are funding their own theories, so they'll never tell you the true history. Just like the Indians can't even tell you their true history. It only takes 3 generations to wipe history. So there's some melted granite right there. Plenty of guys online melting granite stone with the sun and turning it straight into obsidian, which is a crystalline form of silicon. No different from granite. Crystalline form. Let's go back over here. And here's the general structure overall. Am I going more? Of course, the ball court was abandoned because they were told they were run out of their own little towns. They weren't converted, they were forced. From the 1800s to the 1900s, there were over 100 million Indians murdered, with the Roman Catholic Church doing their bidding. You know, it's funny. They couldn't do a ball earth demonstration, so they had to do a flat mat. So that's what looks like as is on a flat earth. All the natives, all ancient societies knew the earth was flat, stationary. Same stars have been going around us for thousands of years. You think the stars would have changed if we're moving 1,000,000 miles through Milky Way? Hohokam Pit House. Very creative. Didn't need Home Depot. Didn't need a stock market. Didn't need money. Didn't need taxes. Didn't need a fake education system. All self-reliant. That's why I had to go bye-bye. There were no patents. Here's what we're going to be looking at outside. Might be over 10 minutes. Sorry, guys. General demonstrations of how they constructed their rooms. And of course you can see that the house, each room had multiple purposes. They didn't have a bathroom, a living room, a closet. They didn't have a bunch of wasted space. They only had what they needed. Built the house themselves. All without electricity. And they have to call it the caveman because they think somebody spent some time with a stick and stone and carved all this stuff out of a mountain of rock. I beg to differ, because you can see how they got many different forms of aggregates. They knew the sciences. So there are different types of pedestals, grinding utensils. Here's a bowl for pouring water. And you can see the craftsmanship is bar none. This is without glasses or any fine tools, all by eye. The natural brown or dark eyes, which you can see it at night or low light. Yeah, they were able to machine copper. They knew mining too. How to extract copper from the ground, iron. There's more obsidian. They had their own trade networks. 800 AD, when the Muslims still ruled the world. It's where Spanish comes from, Arabic. Latin is not its own creation, it comes from Arabic. The Romans stole that language and came up with French, Italian, Spanish. Some more pottery. I already looked at that. Sorry about that. And here's some more cool stuff. Turquoise is mainly copper. That's why you get the blue or green hue. Where a lot of these ideas came from. That's why we have to have all these Freemason inventors that that somehow founded ideas instead of inventing them. They found them. That's why they call them the founding fathers. They found stuff and claimed it for their own. There's some other good sites to eventually visit throughout the Arizona territory. And I believe Arizona got its name from the Aryans, which zona is area of, and area is Aryans. So I believe these guys have been dabbling around, just like they think they're gods. It's almost like they set up these different types of humans in different types of areas, like habitats, like Westworld. Try it out for a little bit, reset it, do some mixing around. Because it's weird how we're so far apart way back when we shared a lot of the same technologies without any communication. I'll answer a few of these questions. What was played in the ball pit? They had a rubber ball that they kicked around through a hoop. And that's where I think we borrowed the idea from basketball and football and all that stuff. What happened to the Casa Grande after it was abandoned? Well, it was claimed by the settlers. They founded everything, cleared house, removed all the brown people, and installed it. White was, if it's not white, it's not right. History. They didn't choose to abandon it. They were forced out, just like any other people out of their native land. Why Russia was pushing out all the Ukrainians. Why did such a mighty civilization abandon a wonderful place? They had no choice. Guns, diseases, the church. There's a lot of history that's been covered up. And basically, they came over here and capitalized on an already thriving society, because Europe at that time was already in a downfall of famine, diseases. They're running out of food, so they flipped a coin, came out here, and instead of making a partnership, they turned it into autocracy, where the people that have been here since the beginning get the bench, and then all the new customers get membership benefits. That's all they do to other countries, is move in a bunch of immigrants, get it to collapse from the inside out, and then within 3 generations nobody remembers the history, burn all the books. So we're slowly starting to piece things together, and we have a great community of history buffs like myself, and we're slowly chopping away at this. The mystery does continue. Some handwritten accounts. And that would be it.
Father Eusebio Francisco Kima arrived at 1694. In his writings, the priest likens it to a European palace. He gives it the name Casa Grande. By the late 1800s, Casa Grande becomes a well-known landmark for those traveling through southern Arizona. Curious travelers stop to collect souvenirs and carve their initials into its walls.
There was a stagecoach route actually that ran right by the big house. And this led to a lot of folks who inevitably have conducted activities that we kind of wish they hadn't. A lot of graffiti started appearing on the walls, particularly the interior walls that were better preserved.
And the next step is outside. Thank you for sticking with me. Next is seeing the ruins. Thank you for sticking with me. Part 3 coming up. And the final part. Promise.